When I fire up Metal Slug 2, there's an instant sense of familiarity, but also a feeling that this sequel really pushed the series to another level. From the first few steps into the battlefield, it's clear that this isn't just a simple continuation. It's bigger, wilder, and somehow more chaotic than the first game. I've played countless arcade classics over the years, but Metal Slug 2 has a way of making me feel both nostalgic and challenged in ways that feel fresh, even today. The question I wanted to answer while revisiting it is simple. Can this game still hold my attention and deliver the same fun, frantic experience it did back then? Or does it feel like something only enjoyable with nostalgia in your corner? Right away, the first mission sets the tone. The jungle environments are more detailed, explosions are more frequent, and the enemy patterns are denser and more unpredictable. I can already feel the difference in pacing compared to the original Metal Slug. There's no downtime here. The screen is alive from the first second, with soldiers firing, grenades bouncing, and vehicles rolling across the screen. Even in modern times, the intensity never feels overwhelming in a frustrating way. It's a controlled chaos that challenges you, but also keeps you smiling. One of the first things I noticed this time around is how much the game leaned into absurdity without sacrificing skill. You've got enormous boss vehicles, bizarre enemy designs, and wacky animations that make you chuckle even as you're ducking bullets. It's this combination of humor, spectacle, and responsive gameplay that makes the Metal Slug series unique, and Metal Slug 2 doubles down on it. The animation quality is insane. The sprites are huge, vibrant, and full of personality. When a soldier gets flung into the air or a vehicle explodes into a cloud of debris, it's as satisfying visually as it is mechanically. Even modern shooters with 3D graphics can't always deliver that kind of clarity and charm. The controls are another aspect that stands out. They're deceptively simple: run, jump, shoot, and throw grenades, but everything is tight and responsive. I've always appreciated games where the input feels perfect, and Metal Slug 2 is a masterclass in that. Whether I'm dodging a machine gun nest, leaping over a collapsing bridge, or timing a grenade toss against a helicopter, every action feels deliberate. There's a level of precision here that modern games often fail to capture, even when they're technically more complex. As I progress through the missions, the game's variety becomes evident. You go from jungle skirmishes to industrial zones, snow-covered landscapes, and even bizarre secret areas. The environments aren't just backgrounds, they're interactive, full of destructible objects, hidden civilians to rescue, and vehicles to commandeer. The addition of the second-tier vehicles, like the iconic tanks and flamethrower-equipped units, gives the gameplay more layers than the first game. You're constantly making small decisions. Do I risk jumping into this tank now or save it for the next wave? Should I prioritize enemies that drop power-ups or deal with the immediate threat first? These moments create tension and engagement that still feels fresh. The enemy design in Metal Slug 2 is brilliant. Compared to the first game, the AI is smarter, the attack patterns are more varied, and the sheer number of projectiles forces you to think carefully about positioning. You can't just charge forward and hope for the best. You need timing, spatial awareness, and sometimes a bit of improvisation. And the humor is everywhere. Enemies sometimes explode in ridiculous ways, civilians wave frantically as you rescue them, and the bosses often feel like over-the-top cartoons. This mix of challenge and whimsy is something that most modern run-and-gun games struggle to replicate. Boss fights in Metal Slug 2 deserve a special mention. They're massive, complex, and packed with attack patterns that require memorization and reflexes. Yet they're never unfair. Each boss feels like a mini puzzle. Learn the pattern, exploit the openings, and survive the onslaught. From gigantic tanks to absurdly oversized mechanical walkers, the scale of these battles still impresses me. Even with modern graphics engines capable of creating cinematic battles, the bosses here have more personality than many contemporary encounters. Visually, the AES version of Metal Slug 2 is phenomenal. The sprite work is extremely detailed, the backgrounds are layered with parallax effects, and every frame of animation feels polished. Even years later, the explosions pop off the screen, the enemy movements are readable, and the humor in the animations, like enemies flying backward dramatically when hit, is just as entertaining as the first time I saw it. There's a charm here that purely modern visuals can rarely match, because it's designed to be expressive within strict technical limitations.
Sound design is equally important. The soundtrack keeps the energy high without ever being distracting. Every weapon has weight, explosions feel explosive. The metallic crunch of the tanks, the whistling of incoming grenades, the shouts and cries of enemies, all of it combines to create a chaotic symphony of action that perfectly complements the gameplay. I found myself appreciating it more this time, noticing the subtle layering of effects that make each encounter satisfying. The cooperative gameplay remains a highlight. Playing Metal Slug 2 with a friend transforms the experience entirely. You have to manage positioning, share power-ups, and coordinate attacks. It's chaotic, funny, and sometimes terrifying when the screen floods with enemies and bullets. Modern co-op games often rely on objectives, AI partners, or scripted events, but here the dynamic is pure player skill and interaction. It's a type of cooperative chaos that still feels unique and extremely satisfying. From a modern perspective, what's most impressive is how Metal Slug 2 manages to stay relevant purely through design. It doesn't have a massive skill tree, cosmetic unlocks, or microtransactions. It doesn't need them. The core gameplay loop, shoot, dodge, rescue civilians, pilot vehicles, and survive boss encounters, is timeless. Even in a sea of modern shooters, this formula continues to work, proving that gameplay fundamentals can outshine flashy extras. There are, of course, aspects that are a little rough by today's standards. The difficulty can be brutal, especially on original AES hardware with limited continues. Certain enemy placements can feel punishing, and memorization sometimes becomes essential for later levels. But honestly, that's part of the fun. The game challenges you without ever feeling unfair. It rewards patience, observation, and skillful execution. Finishing a full run on Metal Slug 2, I can say it still delivers the excitement, humor, and adrenaline that made the series famous. It's faster paced and more chaotic than the original, but every element is carefully tuned to provide a satisfying challenge. The mix of personality, hand-drawn artistry, precise gameplay, and cooperative chaos gives it a staying power that few games, retro or modern, can claim. So, can you still enjoy Metal Slug 2 in modern times? Absolutely. The controls remain tight, the levels remain fun, the bosses remain memorable, and the game's charm is intact. Whether you're a retro fan reliving old memories or a modern player curious about arcade classics, this game still delivers one of the most exhilarating run-and-gun experiences ever created. Its design is timeless, its action is chaotic and rewarding, and its humor keeps you smiling through every explosion. If you enjoy fast-paced action, ridiculous enemy designs, iconic vehicles, or simply want to see a perfect example of 2D pixel artistry done right, Metal Slug 2 is still essential playing. It proves that great game design doesn't age, it just continues to entertain. And even after all these years, I find myself coming back to it, laughing, panicking, and enjoying every second.